Alright, good morning. It's Michael with Birch Bark Outdoors. Just wanted to come out here and do a trap check. It's the day after Christmas, and hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. My Christmas was vastly different than most years. I did work yesterday, and pretty much everybody that knows me, which with the YouTube, there's probably a lot of people that don't know me, but I do fire and EMS. I'm a paramedic, and Christmas is always one of those days that can be very interesting on this job. Relatively low-key day. I never want to say the Q word in this job, but just wanted to start off this video by kind of like, even though I did get to see my kids yesterday, or this week at all, but I just want to say that yesterday we had a tough call. There was a car accident with a number of people involved, one vehicle into a tree kind of thing, and a child lost its life. So I just kind of wanted to start off this by just kind of a moment to kind of reflect on your family, and especially with Christmas and New Year's, and that family opened the presents that yesterday morning with their kids. Everything was full of life, everything was great, and then unfortunately that family ended the day with the entire family in the hospital. A moment of silence, just kind of prayers for that family, and just reflect on your family and your children. Well, it's kind of a weird way to start a video, but in this job, I mean, this career, it's one of those things you just can't take for granted, family and all that. So anyways, that's part of why I do this, is for my kids, and continuing that legacy, the tradition. Though trapping is not in my family, at least far back as I know of, not in my family lineage, but it is something that I've taken my boys out on the trap line for coyotes and stuff. In fact, I've got pictures and trail cam pictures of me with an actual car seat ratchet strapped to the four-wheeler, and bringing my little boys out on the four-wheeler to check traps in the dark. They had a blast too. So the trapping is definitely a family event, and even if you're not blood, trapping is a trapping family too, so we all want to support each other. Well, kind of changing gears here to some good news. Justin came out here to his property yesterday and checked the traps. I had, at his request, moved one of those weasel boxes right over here. He got destroyed again with mice, and he's pretty much called it quits on the weasel boxes. The other box is still frozen, unusable, just a solid brick of ice. So that one's, I'm just going to pull that one out of the woods, since it's not even going to do anything. Check the otter sets. Justin doesn't have waders, so he wasn't able to get into the water to actually check the 330, but did state that he saw a couple what looked like otter slides of a couple otters, and tracks were going to about 10 feet into the water from my 330. But once again, he's not able to get into the water to get down there to check, so come out here today to check that. The 220 was untouched, nothing disturbed, no activity there. However, we did get some fur yesterday. Uh, with the amount of snow we got, I think there was probably, I would say probably a good 8 inches or so, maybe a little more of snow here that we got. I was actually just starting to snow from my last check. So Justin went out and checked, and came to the Fisher box, and box was completely covered in snow, and so he kicked it, trying to get the snow off of it, and he kind of brushed it off, and then the top of it was a little frozen, which is metal, and it was just warm enough that when that first snow started falling, they got on there and froze, so a metal latch was froze together. So he kind of pried it apart, and he saw that at that point he saw the trap had sprung, but Justin was like, oh, I must have set it off when I kicked it. Opens the trap, and fur. So it was pretty cool that Travis, wow. So it was pretty cool that Justin was able to open the trap and see some fur. Was not the Fisher that we had kind of hoped to get, but it was actually something pretty cool, and something we definitely were targeting, and that was actually Justin's first weasel. So he got a nice little weasel here, and I'm actually quite surprised. This thing is not little. Not little at all. So, I mean, compared to my stand back forearm, that is almost the entire length of my arm. So, looking at this little thing, those little paws right there, these things are definitely a proficient little killers. Without going too detailed, that looks like it's probably yeah, I think that's a male, I think. But anyways, got us also a nice little weasel. It was caught in a 160, so the big box of the Lynx exclusion boxes. But you can still see, even with that 160, that was a perfect suitcase catch. So you can see right where the jaws went down on him. So Justin brought it home. The fur was actually trapped inside in the trap, so he wasn't able to open it without possibly ripping some of the fur. So he brought it home, was able to get it to thaw out enough to get the trap off. So I'll have to go actually reset that trap. So hopefully no fishers came through last night. We'll be able to see in the snow, but fisher came last night, man. Lucky. But we'll go reset that trap and check the otter traps and see if we got anything. So congrats to Justin, good catch. Beautiful little weasel here. I'll bring it home and get it all skunned out, ready to go ready for the old. I actually got Justin dropped it off with the weasel, with the little fleshing board. To get this all fleshed out and send it out to get tanned. So hopefully shortly we'll get that. So anyways, I don't know if you can tell, but right out there on the far end of that field, there must be 40 plus turkeys. So it's always a good sign. Been seeing bald eagles right here in this tree here, over there. I don't see them currently, but it wouldn't surprise me if I keep my eyes open I'll see a bald eagle out here. Anyways, time to start moving. It's a little chilly. It's single digits to 0 degrees overnight. It's warmed up into the low teens right now. So I just got a sweatshirt. I don't have a coat. Long story there, but anyways, gotta keep moving. Once I get moving and pulling this little sled in the snow, I'm pretty sure I'll warm up just fine. So anyways, time to go set up some traps. Alright. Alright, made it down here to the spot we're going to walk in for the fisher box. Going to reset the 160. You can see my little homemade connie pan. I used it from an awareness sign for Maine's largest rodent population. As you see, for politicians. Maine's largest rodent. You can quote Joe Holland for that one. Anyways, I'll turn the camera around here. Let's see. Whoa, logs underneath here are slippery. I'm wearing waders too, so I'm not the same kind of grip you'd want for it. Camera still looks good in the box. Whoa. Alright, let's take a look. Looking for any kind of first sign I'm not seeing. Not seeing any fresh stuff, so let's see. Well, our beat is still all intact, so I think we're good. So go get this set. So gonna reset this and get going here. All right. Check with you in a minute. Alright, I made it down to the creek bottom here, or the 220, so I figured I'd videotape walking into it. So, sunk this wood bar in. Alright. So there's some ices built back up. Justin was able to walk. Alright. Alright. So I don't see any air bubbles. But let's get this set right here. See if I can still hold. Guess this is all open out. Oh, what? There we go. Yep. Nothing fired. So, what I'll do now. It'll probably freeze up at some point, but at least it gives the otter something to get in there and dive in right into that. So 220 right there. They come up this brook. Hopefully they see this and go right in there and snap. But for now, we move on. Silly. Just gonna keep falling through. Anyway. Alright, so all set. Back in business there. So nothing in the 220, which with how cold it got last night, and it will be for a couple days. I'm not expecting anything in this one, but they're showing attempts to get into the 40s, maybe 40s, upper 30s. So with running water, if I can keep this open enough with this current, I just got to have one chance for an otter to come by. Actually, looking over there, that might be otter sled. On that far side, between that tree, right there, that might have been an otter. And right there, could just be snow though, so I'll have to get over there and see if there's any tracks up top. But it looks like there's some tracks right there too. But I don't think those look like otter though. You never know. Way down there is where the 330 is. So they follow this rapids down. Rapids shoot that way. Then down there is the pool. You kind of see where the sunlight is right there. That's the corner. There's a wall, ridge over there. And on that ridge is where that pool is. So 100 yards. And that's where we did see otter tracks. Justin found otter tracks yesterday, 10 feet away from the trap. I'm at the blinds hut. So that ridge up there. The other side of it over there is where that's where the rapids end right there. There's a stretch of 80 yards of rapids or something. I'm not sure. 60 at least. Anyways, you gotta come over, down, across the brook over here, or scale down this little ledge, and it's deep enough right there that I don't feel like trying that. Anyways, nice if I can get out of here without losing my something. Anyway, so here's the 330. Nothing in it. Let's see if I can video it from over here first. Anyways, there's nothing there. I don't know if you can see, but you can see the bars right there. So not sprung, a little shifted. So I'm going to try making some little adjustment here. I don't know how this is gonna go, but you know what? Let's try this. I'm not a YouTube person. I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm not trying to be a YouTube person. I don't think you're able to see, but because the cable goes under the dive stick, but 220 is still set. Put the safeties on just now. I realized the trigger spread out just a little too much for what I want, and back too much, so an otter could easily get through here. A smaller otter could easily get through here without a problem. So got the safeties on. I'm going to make adjustment. See if I can. There we go. That was a lot of work. Anyway, so I have the H stand back in the run where all that snow is sitting on. I can't see the screen, but right there, that's a dive bar. You get to go underneath the ice shelf, so I don't know, that may or may not work. I don't know, we only got another, not even a week left of the season, so really, realistically, there's not a lot of chance, but there's some questionable spots over here where the otter may have been playing out here, but there's a bunch of tracks. There's just so many tracks, and then the turkeys came in and messed up a lot of the tracks, so. And I'm not an expert on otter tracking. It's easy when you see the slides, but there's a couple spots it does look like slides. But anyway, my legs are in the water, so I'm gonna get out of here. I got insulated and I obviously got waders on, but it's chilly. Anyway, let's get out of here. Mallard, just chilling down there. Look at that. Mallard, come back up through here. She's chilling down there. I don't know if she's hurt. She's frozen in. I'm not sure what's going on. I might see if she can stand up. She's somebody's lunch if she doesn't. See if she was looking around a little bit ago. But first spot, she could have moved her head around. She's alive. You okay? Can't see you well. Huh. Wish I knew you were okay. I don't want to move you here for way, but you might be frozen. Alright. I'm gonna try to get down there. There's a hen mallard right there. Let's see if she's okay. You should not. You should just be off and running, man. Not safely, either one of us. No, you're okay. There you go. Oh, you have a broken wing. Oh no. You're hurt. I am so sorry, dear. I am so sorry. Her left wing is broken. Oh. Just hanging there. There's nothing I can do about it. Oh, shit. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. I think I'm going to call the wardens. I have no way to dispatch this thing. She's just going to freeze to death, starve to death out here. Oh. Whew. Alright. Well, man, I have a lot to say between the last time I hit record and now. Got a workout, that's for sure. So I got done setting up checking the 330, resetting it, or just getting it cleaned up. And coming back next to the brook, and I had seen where Justin had walked yesterday, checking the traps. So anyways, got a little closer to the brook, the water edge there. I come through and saw that hen mallard. And it didn't look startled, it didn't look worried, it didn't look concerned at all that was there. And that was definitely not a natural reaction. I have been around a lot of ducks, a lot of wildlife in my day. So to see an animal that was that unconcerned for their safety is not good. Anyway, so I set up the camera and I made a little video as I tried to approach it. So I thought for sure it would just fly away or something, or it was frozen to the ice or something. Like, I've never seen a duck frozen to the ice like that, alive. I'm sure it's happened, but it's not normal. So anyway, I got down there and the duck actually stood up and started walking around, and that's when I noticed that it had a broken wing. And I'll add that clip to this, but anyway, so like, well, shoot, I don't want to leave a duck down here just starving to death. I mean, nature's going to play its toll, and it's going to die. It's cold, and it's not going to have any food sources. It's down in the bottom there where it's trying to take shelter. At least it has running water. Anyways, so I was like, well, I got to do something. I checked with a buddy of mine that actually has permission down here to this next field over to duck hunt. So I checked with him and I'm like, hey, I haven't been paying attention to the duck rigs around here. Was duck season still open? And he informed me that it closed yesterday. I'm like, of course it did. So I'm like, well, I'm a softie, I guess. But I just can't leave this duck to just sit here and die. And there's definitely a lot of predators. And Justin just this last year, I think he took I'm pretty sure it was 3 coyotes out of this property. And there's still plenty of sign of more out there. And obviously fishers out here. Obviously, as you know, there's other animals such as weasels and so on. Anyways, so there's plenty of predators that would capitalize on that. But there's so many ducks, there's so many birds out here that there's plenty for them to hunt naturally. I just gotta root for the underdog, especially someone in my situation, the underdog. Anyway, so I call the wardens service, their main number. Of course, being it's the day after Christmas, it's a holiday for them. Oh yeah, that's right, government. Alright, so I tried a couple other phone numbers and one was completely unavailable or disconnected, and I'm like, well, that's awesome. So I said, alright. So I called Maine State Police, which I know their dispatchers do dispatch the wardens as well. So I called the non-emergency line, and got a hold of the dispatcher, and they took my information and name and all that. And anyways, they said a warden would call me. Well, alright, like, sure enough, 5 minutes later, I get a phone call from Bobby Joe. Like, oh, I know Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe is the one that, she's actually a good friend of Carl, the one that mentioned the day I caught the otter. He had kind of taught me some stuff about trapping and encouraged me. And anyways, she actually worked with Carl for the state, and her official title is like animal. What is that? Not animal control, but it's animal relations or animal damage control or something like that. So her job is to go around and basically do this, where there's animals that are causing problems or injuries or stuff like that. And then she gets involved there. I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, I know her. She worked, she actually was at my son's dropping class last spring. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know you. So I told her the situation. She goes, all right, well. So she shows up and she comes out there and she's got a long pole with a big old fishing net on it. It must be a good 12-foot pole. Anyways, this mallard, between the time I was stood there and when Bob Joe gets there, this silly mallard, she gets this second wind and starts kind of walking around, dragging that wing. And I'm like, great. So Bobby Joe tries to get positioned and it just not working. Of course, it's all ice down there. It's all running water, slippery rocks. It's just not ideal. I got waders on, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll go downstream and I'll cut up the stream. So I'm breaking through the ice. I'm trouncing just like this, and I start rounding up. Would you believe I can get closer to this? I get within like 6 feet of this duck. It was probably 8 feet from this duck. I'm like, of course, and I've got a spud bar. Well, there's nothing I'm going to do with a spud bar except hurt the thing. So there's nothing I can do. And Bobby Joe was like, yeah, I should have given you the net. I'm like, well, I guess so. I never would have thought that, but I guess she's just kind of laying low, make herself small with the nets. And I'm just trying to be loud, obnoxious to push the duck back to her. Anyways, finally I'm like, all right. So the easiest option now is to just push the duck all the way upstream. And most of this ice is not going to hold me. Almost none of it did. I'm breaking through the ice every step all the way up the river. It's all rapids and stuff, so it's like each step you have no idea how deep it's going to be. Anyways, there's a couple spots where I actually was getting on ice that was actually holding me. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm pushing the duck upstream, and the duck's walking. So Bobby Joe gets up to the top where the pool is, where my 220 is. And of course this duck walks within like inches, literally steps over my cable, my tie-down cable for the 220, right where I caught that otter. I'm just like, oh no, there's open water right there. Please, for the love of God, this would be the one time the duck dives in the water. It goes right, because it's a blind set, it goes right into that 220. I'd be, oh man. I was about to poop bricks there. Anyway, so thankfully the duck, she walks around the trap, like around this way, around that way, and anyways, Bobby Joe gets up there onto the hard ice. She's on top of the ice, and I'm kind of giving her instructions where the ice is at least 4 inches thick, so she's safe. And anyways, so the duck decides to go around. So I kind of try to head it off again, and it's up next to maybe I'll get a still shot. It's on the downstream side of the 220, on the far side of the bank there, where it's more of a wall. And the duck's trying to get up that ravine there, and I'm like, you're not going to get up there. You can't hop. You have no energy. This duck's got nothing left in her. Broken wings. She can't even fly. She can't do nothing. Anyways, so I go, and of course I fall through the ice at that point. And would you believe that spot is at least waist deep? Because next thing I got one leg, my left leg is just dangling in the water. My hips and my right leg is still on the ice. I'm sitting there like bracing myself, and the gloves are almost frozen again. Anyways, they're soaking wet, and I take my spud bar and brace myself so I don't go through more. Which wouldn't have been a big deal, but anyways, I don't think I was probably, another 2-3 inches deeper than that, so I wouldn't have gone over my waders or nothing. But anyways, so I'm stuck, so I just kind of like pull up my leg out of the water. I'm just kind of shuffling on the ice to... Anyways, of course this duck finds a way to pop up on the ground and start scooting up on land, up the hill in the snow. Well, Bobby Joe comes running, scooting over there. He's going up the hill, and this duck, being a duck in nature, is trying to take cover, and it goes right under this log just as Bobby Joe reaches over there to grab it with the net. And she snags a little twig off that log, and the duck goes under the log and keeps on trucking. Bobby Joe's got to like untangle her net real quick and hops over the log. There's a down tree. And anyways, so she goes, hops over there and makes quick where it catches the duck like another 10 feet away and just has to reposition and gets the duck, no problem. Anyways, she gets the duck all caught and gets it in. She has a little like cat carrier that she brought out and gets the duck all put in there. And anyways, I got the duck out. The duck's we went with Bobby Joe, and Bobby Joe's gonna take it to some rehab place of some sort, I guess. I'm not really, anyways, it was a heck of a workout. Of course, it's way down on the far side down there by the brook, so you gotta go all the way down the brook. And anyways, I'm sitting there going through all that ice, just chugging along. So anyways, to say it means, or keep things short, I was planning on be out of here by noon, and it's now just after 2, and now I got almost an hour home, and I get ready to go to work. It's like, well, this is not how I planned for today, but of course, I lost my GoPro, but it doesn't matter. I don't have like a chest harness or anything, so there's no way I could have videotaped it, and I'm only using my phone right now. No, there's just no way. Even if I had set it up in the perfect spot to start with, by the time I got chasing that duck and I'm down in the brook, there's no way I could have videotaped it. But interesting story. Pretty cool seeing Bobby Joe again. We chit-chatted again, talked about Carl. Carl's just one of the most amazing people I've ever known. Real good dude. Anyways, it was pretty cool to run across her again in a totally different capacity, and she actually getting to see me out there trapping. And it's funny because we're talking about the otter set, and she's like, yeah, I've been trapping 16 years. I've been trapping for otter and stuff, and I still have never caught an otter. I'm like, first set for me, man. Sorry. That's just the way trapping goes, I guess. I mean, she's definitely really good at fox and canine, coyotes and stuff, but she runs circles around most people. Bobby Joe knows her stuff when it comes to fox and canine. But, and cat too. She's got some bobcat experience. But anyways, just got out of the woods, and that was a good workout, that's for sure. About 2,000 steps over my daily step goal. And it's 2 o'clock, right after 2. Anyway, go set this brick of a, oh my gosh, it's heavy. It can be. It's just full of frozen water. It's a weasel box of Justin's. Anyways, pulled it because there's no point for it being down there in the woods. Anyways, oh, what a day. What a story. Anyways, wish I could have videotaped that whole fiasco. It would have been entertaining for y'all, but at least hopefully the story is as good as, good enough for you, entertain you. But hen mallard is saved, lived another day at least. I'd say it's definitely got a ways to go. She put out all her energy trying to get away from us, and she didn't have much in that tank. So hopefully she's got enough to make it through a rehab process. I don't know, it's silly. It's a mallard. You're like, I don't know how many mallards I've shot in my day, and how many mallards you get shot every single day of deer season. Doing something wrong if you shoot one in deer season. But it's just one of those things, like, we still respect the game. We still respect the animals. Try our best to keep our sport and traditions alive. And if it's saving one mallard this year, maybe next year that mallard will be banded, and I don't know. So it'd be interesting and see if there's any follow up or anything I could snoop online of any of the avian bird rehab centers in here in Maine. Let's see if I find any post or if I get any info on it. Anyways, interesting. Trappers saving lives, right? Who would have thought?